Trustmark.com. Director, Mississippi Veterans Affairs, Stacey Pickering is on with us. Good morning, Stacey. How are you, sir? Live at supertalk.fm/watch and also C Spire Television Channel 70. It's good to see you, sir.
Hey, Paul. Good morning to you, sir.
It's a big day coming up, as Memorial Day, and I'm enthused by seeing so many people, mostly conservative venues, who are really concentrating on this and putting a lot of stock in making sure we do this the right thing as far as Memorial Day is concerned. And it just seems like more than normal, which is good.
It does. I think more people are realizing that this is an opportunity to honor those who have given the ultimate sacrifice, and more of our communities are coming together. And part of it's coming out of pandemic. For over a year and a half, we haven't gathered together. And what better thing to bring us together when we remember those who sacrificed their lives for our freedom, for our liberty, at a time when some of that has been taken for granted. So I think there's a greater appreciation now, maybe than we've seen in a few years, to honor those who have given their all, and to honor those families who still live with that grief and loss.
Well, and that's something that's underreported a lot. But as far as the families that are left behind, for even active military, it's one of those stories that it's not told enough. But let's talk about Mr. Gibbs. Do you know Mr. Gibbs, Paul Gibbs?
I do.
He's going to come on at 8:37. I kind of hate that you're not here because you could be in the studio with me and ask some questions. I think he's going to be on the phone, of course, but it's an interesting story. But when you start looking now at some of the people who served in Vietnam, they're getting some age. Us boomers are getting some age on us, and
Paul,
some of them.
That's our largest population of veterans in Mississippi now are our Vietnam veterans. It's our largest population in our four veterans homes. Mr. Gibbs is one of those. He's become a dear friend over the years, and we've attended several events together. But when he does sit down and tell his story about the men who sacrificed their lives that he came off that hill with, he's a true war hero himself. He was the last one down as a young lieutenant. And, because he stood in the gap there against communism, against the spread of that. And that's what was going on in Vietnam. And we forget that great battle that we're still fighting against the communists of China and the former Soviet Union and Russia, with all the posturing and the new Cold War that's going on. That's what was happening in Vietnam. And Mr. Gibbs was on the front line. And again, great hero, but many of his men gave their life that day. And he saw it firsthand and still lives with those scars.
What worries me, and I'm sure it does you also, when you start thinking about the way we grew up as far as the baby boomers and even the next generation, conservatism was still alive, at least in schools as far as the curriculum. It's not so much
we simply
now.
call that being a patriot and being American, and now we have to politicize it. The reality is just being a good American.
We don't talk about it. There's no curriculum out there saying if these things went wrong, you would be speaking Chinese or German right now or something else. And people they just can't equate to that.
Well, that's one of the great things. I have the privilege of kicking off Boys State. The American Legion hosts every year Boys and Girls State, and it's rising seniors in high school. And we get to tell that story to them for a week and teach them patriotism and the fact that a little bit of history that may be missing in some of our classrooms across the nation. We get to do that in Mississippi, not teaching them just how politics work, but what's patriotism look like. They get to be legionnaires, men and women who served our country, wore the uniform, are there with them for the week, and hopefully get to instill them as they live their careers. And it's been fun watching some of these kids at Boys State that go on to the Naval Academy and Air Force Academy. They serve our country, wear the uniform, and now many of them are elected to office themselves as young adults. And so it's been fun to watch that. So there are great bright spots out there, that next generation of young men and women who are stepping in the gap, still put on our nation's uniform and keep that legacy and heritage of patriotism for our nation.
Stacey, how did we look as far as the pandemic and the shots and everything else? What's the status as far as the VA homes out there?
In the veterans' homes, we've had over 95% of our residents are veterans who got the vaccine. They knew that this was a life and death issue for them because their health is compromised, or they wouldn't be in a veterans' home. Close to 70% of our staff have gotten the vaccine. And so it's allowed us to open the homes up, reunite families, and without even asking, our families were going to get the vaccine so they could reunite. So on that front, the vaccine has been a real lifesaver. We've had 0 cases of COVID-19 since our very first shot. As soon as we vaccinated our homes, we started in Jackson and Collins, and then went to Oxford and Kosciuszko. Our staff all got the vaccine over the next 2 months. This was back in March. We've had no outbreaks of the virus, and families have been able to come in and have lunch, breakfast, dinner, and visit with their loved ones. And so it's really been a great success story, Paul.
So is visitation back normal, or are there still some restrictions?
Well, we're asking family members to make reservations just to let us know they're coming.
Okay.
That way we can accommodate them. We don't make sure we don't have an overcrowding. I pointed out to one family member that asked why we need to make reservations to visit. I said, well, these guys haven't had visitors in a year and a half. It's just been the nurses, the physical therapists, and themselves. We're easing them back in, but also, the virus is still there. So if a family calls and said, hey, we're coming, we know which ones have been vaccinated, which ones haven't. So occasionally some of those that have not been vaccinated, they're voluntarily taking a test when they arrive. So we want to make sure I've got the test available. We've got staff there to facilitate them reuniting with their families. So I understand some people, either they had the virus, they don't want to take the vaccine, or they've got still some concerns on the vaccine. We want to accommodate them being reunited as well, and we do that through the rapid test. When we do at the door, they just have to get tested, stay in the parking lot. 10, 15 minutes later, we'll text them and they can come in.
Stacey Pickering, who is Director of Mississippi Veterans Affairs. Want more information, it's at MS Vet Affairs as far as Twitter is concerned, and the website is
msva.ms.gov.
Got it. One final question here. Any special ceremonies or anything going on?
Paul, this is a big weekend for us. We're actually partnered with the Biloxi Shuckers and with the Mississippi Braves. We're doing Gold Star games away on the coast Friday night, honoring Gold Star families. These are families who had a loved one die in service to our country. They'll be recognized on the field and on the Jumbotron. And then Saturday night, we'll be in Pearl with the Mississippi Braves, recognizing Gold Star families there. What better way to honor Memorial Day? And then on Monday, we've got multiple events, both at our cemetery, Michael, and at the Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Newton. We're expecting several hundred folks to show up there, and we're partnering Friday. We're going to kick off Memorial Day weekend at the Armed Forces Museum at Camp Shelby. Tommy Lofton and his team are helping us kick that weekend off, and they're doing a great job. So big weekend to honor those fallen heroes and their families.
And don't forget, Perez, we were mentioning this earlier, the JT show, Gerard Gibbert will be on location Friday of this week at the statewide Memorial Day celebration. Mississippi Armed Forces Museum at Camp Shelby in South Mississippi, and that is going to be on Friday. So lots of things going on.
Absolutely. There's almost 5,000 Mississippians have given their life since World War I in support of our nation, wearing our nation's uniform. 4,851 to be exact, from World War I until the global war on terror. We've lost 107 since Desert Storm started, Mississippians who have given their all to protect our freedom.
Stacey, always, sir, thank you so very much. We appreciate you joining us.
Hey, Paul, great to be with you. Look forward to being in the